Hello, everyone. I am Jenny, and welcome back to the Happy Aura channel. Today, I want to take you on a journey that begins in a place of heavy, suffocating darkness, but ends in the wide, open air of liberation. I want you to close your eyes and come with me into a scenario that we have all known, perhaps a little too intimately, at one point or another. It is a story about the weight of the ego and the incredible lightness of letting it go. Imagine that we have been in the apartment by ourselves since the previous evening. It is now the start of the weekend, perhaps a Saturday. The clock on the wall tells us it is 11 in the morning. The light filtering through the blinds should feel welcoming, but instead, it feels exposing. There is a heaviness in the air, a stagnant quality to the silence that hangs in the hallway and the kitchen. We are alone, but the room is crowded with our anxieties. You see, a succession of small bits of bad news have been coming in over the past 24 hours, accumulating like silt at the bottom of a river. It started yesterday afternoon. Someone is unhappy with our performance at work. It was not a shouting match, just a cool, detached email suggesting that we are not quite meeting the standard, that we are falling behind. Then a customer complained about our attention to detail, a minor error, a typo, a forgotten attachment, but it feels like an indictment of our entire character. When we got home, the assault continued. There was a letter on the doormat, a traffic fine we have to pay. It is money we had earmarked for something else, something joyful, and now it must go to the faceless bureaucracy of the city. We went to the kitchen to make tea, seeking comfort, but the milk is off. It pours out in sad, white clumps, smelling sour and defeated. It seems like a small thing, but in the context of the day, it feels like the universe is conspiring to deny us even the smallest sustenance. We checked our phone, hoping for connection. Instead, we found a message from a friend, accusing us of not caring enough about them, citing a missed birthday or a slow reply as proof of our selfishness. And then the final straw, the blow that shatters the dam. Someone we very much hoped to see for dinner tonight canceled on us abruptly. It was a text message, short and apologetic, with an unconvincing excuse about their mother or a sudden headache. We know deep down that if they really wanted to see us, they would have found a way. We try to keep the different strands separate. We try to tell ourselves that the work email is just work, that the milk is just milk, that the date is just bad timing. But eventually, in the stillness of the small living room, with the dust motes dancing in a shaft of uncaring sunlight, they coalesce. They merge into an overwhelming impression, a heavy, dark blanket that settles over our shoulders. The conclusion feels inescapable. We are not very worthy. There is something fundamentally wrong with us. We feel ugly, not just in the mirror, but deep inside, in the architecture of our souls. We feel that we have been like this since the start, a mistake in the manufacturing process of humanity. No one likes us. We are going to die alone, unhappy, and mediocre. The impression is stronger than we are. It is a physical weight pressing on our chest. We curl into a ball on the gray-green sofa, pulling our knees to our chest, trying to make ourselves as small as possible to avoid the blows of the world. We cannot hold back a tear. It creates a hot track down our cheek, rolling onto the fabric of the sofa, where it is instantly absorbed, leaving a tiny, dark, dampened spot. 10 minutes passed. Then another 20. The silence of the apartment screams at us. Finally, we cannot take it any longer. The air in the room has become toxic with our own self-loathing. We have to pull ourselves out of the spin before we crash completely. With a newfound urgency, a survival instinct kicking in, we grab our jacket. We do not check the mirror. We do not care what we look like. We run downstairs, out the heavy front door, and head for the nearby park. We need space. We need air. We need to be anywhere but with ourselves. We arrive at the gates. This expanse of green was laid out by a group of enlightened planners and municipal engineers a few generations ago. They saw the future need for breathing room in the tightening grip of the city. There is an inner and an outer circle to the walking paths, a small, modest fountain that trickles rather than roars, a playground with chipped paint, and a bronze statue of a man who pioneered research into bees, standing stoic with a book in his hand. We begin to walk, and as we walk, something shifts. More importantly than the scenery, we realize that the park has very little idea of us. It has never heard of our name. It hasn't heard of our place of employment or the quarterly targets we missed. It does not have any views on our romantic life. It does not judge us for being single or for being canceled on. It couldn't care less whether we are alive or dead. At first, this might sound frightening, but strangely, the ignorance, far from crushing us further, has an immediately soothing effect. It is a relief. We are anonymous here. We are merely another biological entity moving through the space. We stop in front of a grand oak tree. It is a magnificent structure, its bark deeply furrowed, its branches spreading like a neural network against the sky. That tree has been sitting patiently in this spot for 150 years at least. It was here before our parents were born, and it will likely be here after we are gone. It has priorities blessedly far from our own. It is not worried about email etiquette. It is pulling nutrients from the soil deep underground where the roots tangle in the dark earth. It is showing its freshest new leaves to the sun, engaging in the ancient, silent miracle of photosynthesis. It is providing a nesting place for robins and an athletic park for gray squirrels who chase each other in spirals up the trunk. The tree is busy. It has a purpose that has nothing to do with human validation. It stands in a state of majestic indifference to our internal drama, and that indifference is a balm. It tells us that our problems, while real to us, are not the center of the universe. But the indifference is not nature alone. We look over to a bench and see a person in scrubs, perhaps a nurse or a junior doctor, on a break from the nearby hospital. They are sitting with a battered flask of tea, staring at the middle distance. They look exhausted. They might later be fixing up catheters on the children's ward, dealing with the fragile bodies of the young. Or perhaps they will be ministering to a dying nonagenarian, holding the hand of someone taking their final breaths. In the face of their day, in the face of life and death, our traffic fine feels different. Our canceled dinner feels different. The nurse does not know us. They do not look at us and see a failure. They likely do not see us at all, consumed as they are by the gravity of their own vocation. To their left, on the grass, a little boy is playing tag with his father. The boy is wearing a bright red coat. His joyful screams are unabashed, piercing the air with pure, unadulterated delight. He runs, trips, gets up, and runs again. It is a game, yes, but something very serious is happening here. Something about love and self-esteem, and having a home is being exercised. The father chases him, the monster who will catch him with a tickle, and the boy learns that he is safe, that he is pursued, that he is wanted. They are a closed loop of affection. They, too, are unaware of our crisis. We tilt our head back. Overhead, planes are crossing the blue canvas of the sky. They are metal giants, perhaps heading back from Singapore or Madrid, carrying hundreds of souls. Business people closing deals, families reuniting, lovers running away, tourists returning home. They are locking onto the final approach beacons at the airport to the west. We are just a speck to them, if we are visible at all, a pixel in the landscape. In the distance, beyond the tree line, a line of uncomplaining pylons marches across the horizon. They are bringing in electricity from the coast, carrying the energy needed to power hairdryers and video games and hospital monitors and reading lamps. They support our strange, extraordinary, pathetic species in all our glory, complexity, and mundanity. With all this in view, the tree, the nurse, the child, the planes, the pylons, it suddenly seems not to matter quite so much that we may, or may not, be a wretch. The sheer scale of the world dilutes the potency of our self-judgment. It matters less that a lover has let us down. Heaven knows they might have their reasons. Perhaps they are fighting their own battle on a gray-green sofa somewhere else. And we aren't perfect either. We have canceled. We have disappointed. We have failed. It matters less that we should, in all fairness, probably make more of an effort with our career. In the shadow of the 150-year-old oak, a career spanning 40 years seems like a brief flicker of a candle. The individual ego diminishes. It is painful to hold onto an ego that is screaming for attention. But here, we let ourselves dissolve into a wider realm. What happens to us? This specific name, this specific history, no longer has to be the measure of everything. We are stepping out of the starring role of a tragedy and becoming an extra in a beautiful, sprawling documentary. We realize that we are, in part, also the trees. We are the houses bordering the park. We are the clouds drifting overhead, shape-shifting and temporary. We are the pigeon who has come to peck at a leftover sandwich crust near the bin. We are the young boy now being hugged tightly by his dad, his face buried in his father's coat. Our ultimate fate ceases to concern us so tightly. What does it matter quite so much what we are worth or where we end up? The universe is vast, and we are tiny, and there is a tremendous freedom in that smallness. We rejoin the ocean from which we had been in frightened exile for too long. We stop fighting the waves and learn to float. None of the elements that have helped us to recover our balance care to articulate a theory of existence. The tree does not preach. The pigeon does not write self-help books. They may have a theory, nevertheless, written in the language of being. The oak tree has its own distinctive, silent take on love, achievement, success, and power. Its definition of success is survival, growth, and providing shelter. As do the clouds, the robins, the squirrels, and the white contrails fading in the sky. Each one of them is whispering to us, very quietly indeed. If we listen past the noise of our own insecurity, we can hear them. They say, matter less. They say, forget more. They say, open your heart. They say, let go of your resentments. They say, surrender. We can be so much happier when we manage, for a time, to still the clamor of the I. That relentless voice that says, I need, I want, I hurt, I fear. We are happier when we live less intimately with ourselves, when we step back and view our lives from the distance of the moon, or even just the distance of the oak tree. We find peace when we stop insisting that everything that happens to us must say something profound about us. The rain falls on the just and the unjust. The traffic fine is not a judgment on our soul. It is just a traffic fine. The canceled dinner is not a verdict on our lovability. It is just a clear evening. When we can wear our fate more lightly, like a loose garment rather than a constricting corset, we can breathe again. We may end up alone. That is a possibility. We may be foolish at times. We may be sad. None of it, the park tells us, might matter too much anyway. The sun will still rise. The seasons will still change. The squirrels will still chase each other. The nurse will still drink her tea. Life, in its tenacious, unstoppable flow, will continue. And because we are part of life, we will continue too. We will cope, after all. The disastrous feeling of the morning begins to fade, replaced by a melancholy but sturdy calm. Perhaps we will go to the cinema alone tonight. There is a certain dignity in that, sitting in the dark, sharing a story with strangers. Or perhaps we will have a drink on the terrace, watching the city lights come on, realizing that every light represents another person fighting their own battle, another ego trying to dissolve. We haven't just taken a walk. We have not just exercised our legs. We have had a covert philosophy lesson taught by the faculty of the everyday. We have been schooled by the bees, the pavement, and the sky. So, my friends, the next time the walls of your life feel like they are closing in, remember this walk. Remember the oak tree. Remember that you are small, and that is a beautiful thing. Thank you for listening to Happy Aura Channel. Until next time, be kind to yourselves and let the world carry some of the weight.